Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Anime Lounge Short Flights. Today, we're going to be covering episode 11 of Bleach Thousand Year Blood War. Lance, you want to give us that synopsis?
Sure. The synopsis for today is going to be short and simple. It's basically just going to be we get to learn more about Ichigo's parents, both his mom and his dad. So that's really nice.
Yeah, we kind of got a glimpse of who she was, who his mom was to begin with, and earlier in the season. And then, if you watched if you watched the original Bleach, you knew who his dad was the whole time, or through, I'd say, about half the series. So that was not a surprise. His mom being a Quincy, that was a surprise.
Right. And I'm really glad that they did spend like a full episode pretty much explaining her background story, who she is, her bring up kind of, and the family that surrounded her. So that was a lot of information.
And you find out that technically Ichigo and Uryu are like second cousins.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I wrote that down. If you were to count, because what's his mom's name? I wrote down Masaki. So she was kind of adopted into that family. I don't know exactly the blood. I mean, the bloodline is consistent.
So she says aunt.
Aunt?
Says,
oh, okay.
She does say it's Uryu's grandmother was her aunt.
Okay. So I missed that.
I mean, it's going to be one of those things where you're probably only going to marry another Quincy, and well, you don't really have too many options.
Right.
So,
and what I wrote down was her stepbrother is Ryu, and Ryu is Uryu's father, right?
Yep.
All right. So because of that, if you're to count the adoption into it, I just marked them down as cousins.
Yes. So they say Ryu says, I think my cousin, something along those lines.
Did he say that?
I think so.
Oh, I thought I just put two and two together. I felt smart.
But I know for a fact he does say, he does say your aunt about his mother. And so I want to say they're second cousins or something along those lines. They're not very distant cousins, but again, arranged marriages, we're going, ancient times kind of thing.
Right.
So
yeah, so through enough branching, they are considered cousins.
Yes.
Which I find interesting. I can't wait to see what Uryu thinks of that too.
Yes. Well, that assumes he doesn't know.
I suppose. But I mean, we did see him at the very end of the credits. So that was so I'm hoping to see more of him. Yeah, obviously the next episode.
Yeah, I think that's probably gonna lead into the next episode / the next two episodes. Because remember, as I had said wrong last week, this coming week will be a 2-for-1 1-hour special for a season finale.
Right.
Can't wait. And then oh man, I had a comment. I completely forgot what I was saying, but do you recognize the individual that he was that was in the background, right? Who that guy was?
Aizen?
No, with Uryu.
Ooh, I guess I wasn't paying that close attention.
So that looked to be the right-hand man of Yu Hubak. So that was that guy.
Okay. And he's with Uryu?
Well, they're in the same area. That's really all I can say.
Okay.
But okay, if you say it that way,
if you say it that way, it makes me think like maybe they're about to throw hands or something.
Well,
I hope it's not that. I just hope they don't like join forces or Uryu becomes a bad guy in this season or something.
I would assume they are trying to recruit him only because all Quincy's should be fighting on the side of the Quincy's. So we'll see. But you did bring up Aizen, obviously a failed experiment. You kind of get how Ichigo gets his powers.
Yeah, because dad's a badass.
well, Dad's badass, so super awesome Soul Reaper abilities. You get the experiment that Aizen was using because he talks about how
Sheba.
that's Shiba. Is that what it is?
Wait. Yeah, wait. Never mind. Continue. I can't even read my own notes.
So the Arankar looking Soul Reaper thing basically implanted itself into Ichigo's mom, and then she passed that ability to Ichigo, or she passed that along to Ichigo.
Oh, I
So
guess
that
I kind of,
explains how he got his powers. Because remember, he can holify, I
yeah,
guess,
that's what I would say.
holification, and so that explains how he got those powers. Explains
Okay.
how he has the Quincy power. Basically, everything kind of got explained in this episode as far as Ichigo's abilities are concerned.
Okay. I guess I didn't pay that close attention to the holification transfer.
Yep. They make a he makes a comment because man, who's the blind? I'm drawing a blank on who the blind guy is, but
Oh, I don't
he's
remember either.
like, hey, this is such a waste, we did all this, and should we essentially try and get this back? And Aizen was like, how ironic is it that the Soul Reaper essentially choose the exact opposite of what they are to essentially become a host?
Right. Yeah, but that
Yeah.
Black Hollow guy was super cool.
Yep.
And was it coincidental enough that the Black Hollow kind of looked like Ichiko's Hollow?
Well, that explains it because it
Okay.
it basically
Because it
looks
was
like,
that.
yep, it just kind of mutated. It looks exactly like or at least the face at certain angles looks exactly like the was it Fosto Lourdes
Sound
holification.
sounds
I think
familiar, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what they call it. So I really enjoyed this because you got a lot of information that kind of started tying loose ends,
Hmm.
because it's like, well, how else did Ichigo get all these abilities instead of anime logic? Which, I mean, it is kind of anime logic, but it's at least it makes sense. Like they
Right.
gave a reason for it.
Yeah. And to put this whole episode into scope, like Ichigo needs to learn his roots and where his shit comes from. And now we get to see exactly where everything comes from.
Yep.
So putting all three of the powers that he's got together, I can only imagine what his new future weapon's going to be. Ooh, speaking of weapon, he left that pendant thing in that locker room over
Yep.
at his place of work. So I wonder
Yep.
if that's going to like transform into his next weapon or like be the host of his next weapon. Like I don't know, somehow it's going to turn into some kind of sword or he's going to get a new weapon altogether.
I took that more of he is going to be able to do, like, he doesn't need it because he doesn't have a Zanpakuto. And I also kind of took that as he wants to find a way to be able to turn into a Soul Reaper without the need for the substitute Soul Reaper badge.
Mm. Yeah.
We'll
Oh,
see.
yeah. Um, back on Masaki, she seemed like a pretty badass right out of the gate. She was able to
Yes.
blast out so many arrows, unlike Uryu in the very beginning of Bleach, where he can only shoot a couple arrows, but she's shooting a barrage of arrows at the Black Hollow, and then she like when he bit down on her neck, and then she just like kill shotted him right there. Like I thought that was pretty badass.
Yes. Awesome that they found a way to make, just kind of a minor thing super badass. You
Mhm.
got to see do you remember what his dad's name is? Ichigo's dad's
Yeah,
name?
I said Shiba earlier, and I couldn't read
Yep.
my notes, but yeah, the father's name is Shiba.
Yes. Yeah, there we go. Because we never actually saw any of his abilities. We knew that he was a captain.
Yep.
And so, like, it was just really cool to actually see how powerful he was.
Dude, agree. I mean, he didn't I wouldn't consider that fire sword part of his Bankai though, right? Because he
No,
didn't like yell out anything and he didn't really do much with it, right? He just started on fire. He was about to attack and he got countered. And so nothing too badass came out of him.
no, I'll just kind of take that as like his awakened Zanpakuto,
Hmm.
and no, he definitely didn't use his Bankai, but they also aren't allowed to use their Bankai in the human world without like super special permissions, so it kind of makes sense.
Okay. Well, now that makes me wonder, in the very beginning of the original Bleach, when they found Ichigo, and it wasn't Renji. No, he was just using his ability. Every time he uses his stretchy sword, I always think that's his Bankai, but that's not his Bankai.
Nope, not his Bankai. Yeah, there another good episode, another really good episode. I really enjoyed it. Uh More gore watching the Soul Reaper get his head chopped off.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Like I was not expecting that. Just like, oh, hey, and then chopped. I was like, all right, well, here we go.
Exactly. Got to keep shit interesting, and that's sudden deaths are definitely a way to keep it going.
Yep. But that's really all I got. Do you have anything more you want to talk about?
Um, the only thing I can say is so that Black Hollow had like a heart kind of thing in the middle of its hole, and that it like it blew up really big, whatever. But and then in the when it was going back to Aizen and his crew, it showed a bunch more capsules, and those look like the same exact hearts. So it makes me think that he's got a bunch more of these Black Hollows that are going to be part of a army or some sort. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some sort of invasion or more Black Hollows coming out of that.
Yes, because I think they made mention of Unohara being gone. So this had to have been after he turned all of the other Soul Reapers, the captains, and then the vice captains into the holified Soul Reapers. I bet you this is probably just more experiments, and it might be a one-off. Like
Maybe.
Ichigo, because I mean we know Ichigo is kind of a one-off. So I'm wondering if all these are just failed experiments because the host was never strong enough before Ichigo. And the host was only strong enough because of Ichigo's mom was able to essentially subdue the host and then slowly kind of transfer the abilities into Ichigo.
Right. So
So,
just interesting enough.
yep,
But
I
yeah,
agree.
that does it for me though. I'm out of notes.
All right, cool. So that was another episode of the Anime Lounge Short Flights. Today we were covering episode 11 of Bleach Thousand Year Blood War. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, let us know what you thought of this episode as well.
All right, later, guys.